Admiral Sarah Chen stood motionless before the massive viewing window of Titan Base, watching distant stars glitter against the void of space. Saturn's largest moon had kept humanity's greatest secret for the past decade. The TSS Phoenix, mankind's technological masterpiece, hidden beneath kilometers of ice. Admiral, priority transmission from Earth Defense Command. Lieutenant James Rodriguez's voice broke the silence of the observation deck. The Drachnids have issued their final warning. Sarah's expression remained unchanged, though her hands tightened imperceptibly behind her back. For 30 years, the Drachnid Empire had systematically denied humanity access to interstellar travel, claiming humans were too volatile to join the galactic community. Now they demanded Earth dismantle its entire space program or face protective intervention. "Show me," Sarah ordered, turning to face the holographic display materializing before her. The message was brief. Primitive species are to be contained until proper evolution of social consciousness. Earth has 48 hours to comply with technology restrictions. Resistance will result in immediate pacification. "Arrogant bastards," Rodriguez muttered, then quickly added, "Sorry, Admiral." "No need to apologize, Lieutenant. I share the sentiment." Sarah's dark eyes reflected the hologram's blue glow. Status of the Phoenix. Final systems check complete. Dr. Patel reports the quantum displacement drive is operating at 99.8% efficiency. All weapon systems are green. The Phoenix represented everything the Drachnids believed impossible, a convergence of technologies they dismissed as beyond human capability. While their embassy watched Earth's public space program with condescending amusement, humanity had poured its resources into a vessel that would shatter the Empire's assumptions. "Send word to all department heads. Meeting in the war room in 30 minutes." Sarah began walking toward the base's central lift. "And James, initiate Protocol Lazarus." Throughout Titan Base, hidden machinery hummed to life. The Phoenix's birth, carved deep within the moon's ice, began its awakening sequence. 10 years of preparation were about to be put to the test. The war room was already filled when Sarah arrived. Dr. Arya Patel, the quantum drive's architect, stood beside a hologram of the Phoenix's engine core. Captain Michael Wong, selected to command the vessel, studied tactical displays with his XO, Commander Diana Foster. Other key personnel occupied the remaining seats, their conversations falling silent as Sarah entered. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sarah began, "the Drachnids have forced our hand. They believe we'll either submit to their technological restrictions or face their fleet with our primitive ships." She gestured, and a new hologram appeared. The Phoenix in all its glory. They're about to learn how dangerous assumptions can be. The vessel's sleek design bore little resemblance to conventional human ships. Its hull incorporated metamaterials that could bend light and other forms of detection around it. The quantum displacement drive could move the ship through spaces the Drachnids considered impossible to navigate. But its most devastating advantage lay in its weapons, systems that operated on principles the Empire had never conceived. "Dr. Patel, your final assessment." Arya stepped forward, her weathered features animated with barely contained excitement. "The Key-D drive is ready, Admiral. Our simulations show we can achieve full quantum displacement within 3.2 seconds of activation. The Drachnid sensors won't even register the energy signature. They'll be looking for the wrong things entirely." Captain Wong, tactical evaluation. Michael's response was measured careful. "Our combat simulations against known Drachnid ship configurations show an 89% success rate in one-on-one engagements. The Phase Lance array can penetrate their shields because, fundamentally, they're not preparing for weapons that operate on quantum principles. They don't believe we can even theorize such technology, let alone build it." Commander Foster added, "We've run over 1,000 scenarios. The biggest advantage isn't just our technology, it's their complacency. They literally cannot imagine us being a threat." Sarah nodded, studying the faces around her. These people had dedicated years of their lives to this project, working in secret, knowing the fate of humanity might rest on their success. The Phoenix launches in 6 hours. Captain Wong, begin crew boarding procedures. Dr. Patel, I want you aboard as well. We may need your expertise if the quantum systems require adjustment in combat. As the meeting disbanded, Sarah returned to the observation deck. Somewhere up there, Drachnid ships were probably already moving into position, confident in their technological superiority. Their entire empire was built on the assumption that they could control the development of lesser species, keeping them confined and dependent. Admiral Rodriguez had returned to his post. Earth Defense Command acknowledges Protocol Lazarus. They're ready to transmit our response to the Drachnids at your command. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Send it, Lieutenant. Let's show them what humanity can do when pushed too far. Deep within Titan, the Phoenix's quantum core began to pulse with energy. Humanity's response to tyranny was about to emerge, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Drachnid patrol fleet orbiting Proxima Centauri never saw the Phoenix arrive. One moment, space was empty. The next, alarms blared as human colonists began vanishing from the surface by the hundreds. Quantum displacement complete, Dr. Patil announced from her station on the Phoenix's bridge. Mass transportation systems functioning at optimal levels. Captain Wong watched the operation unfold on the main viewport. After decades of oppression, the first human colony was being liberated right under the Drachnid sensors. Status of enemy vessels. Still running standard patrol patterns, Commander Foster reported, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. Their sensors are detecting the colonist disappearances, but they're attributing it to equipment malfunction. They literally cannot comprehend what's happening. The Phoenix hung in space, completely invisible to conventional detection methods. Its quantum displacement drive didn't just move the ship, it shifted it partially out of normal spacetime, allowing it to operate in a state the Drachnids had deemed theoretically impossible. Last group of colonists is aboard, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced from communications. Medical reports all transportees are stable. No casualties. Captain, Foster interrupted. Drachnid vessels are beginning to break orbit. They're initiating emergency protocols. Wong straightened in his command chair. They may not be able to detect us, but they know something's wrong. Dr. Patel, status of the Phase Lance Array. Charged and ready. Targeting solutions available for all Drachnid ships. Take aim at their propulsion systems only, Wong ordered. Let's show them exactly what they've been missing about human capabilities. The Phoenix's phase lances fired. Brilliant beams of energy that operated on quantum principles rather than conventional physics. They passed through the Drachnid shields as if they weren't there, precisely severing engine connections on each patrol vessel. Panic erupted across Drachnid communication channels as their ships suddenly lost power. Their carefully maintained image of technological superiority began to crack as they faced an enemy they couldn't even detect. Incoming transmission from the Drachnid flagship, Rodriguez reported. They're demanding we show ourselves. Put them on screen, Wong commanded. It's time they learned who they're dealing with. The Phoenix shifted fully back into normal space, its sleek form materializing before the disabled Drachnid fleet. The vessel's design was unlike anything they'd seen. No visible engine ports, no conventional weapon systems, just smooth lines that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The Drachnid commander's face appeared on the main screen, his scaled features contorted in a mixture of shock and outrage. Impossible. Your species lacks the technological advancement for such a vessel. Commander Vexthor, Wong addressed him calmly, reading the name from tactical data. You're looking at the TSF Phoenix, humanity's answer to your protective intervention. We've just liberated our colonists from your control. Your ships are disabled, but your crews are unharmed. Consider this a demonstration of capabilities you thought we couldn't possess. The Empire will not stand for this insurrection. Vexthor snarled. Our main fleet will reduce your worlds to ash. Dr. Paddle spoke up from her station, her voice carrying a careful measure of scientific detachment. Interesting threat, Commander. But you should know we've already transmitted the specifications of our quantum displacement technology to every subjugated species in your empire. The plans for our phase lance array are being distributed as we speak. The Drachnid commander's face went pale. You're lying. They lack the ability to understand such advances. That's always been your mistake, Wang replied. You see other species as inferior, incapable of growth. You never considered that by trying to contain us, you only pushed us to develop technologies you never imagined possible. Commander Foster's console lit up with new alerts. Captain, we're detecting quantum communications from multiple systems. Other colonies are requesting extraction. And, sir, we're receiving signals from non-human worlds. They want to know more about our technology. Your empire is built on the assumption of superiority, Wang told the stunned Drachnid commander. But you've forgotten something crucial about suppressed species. We learn, we adapt, and we remember. The Phoenix isn't just a ship. It's a key, unlocking everything you tried to keep contained. Stand by for quantum displacement, Dr. Patil announced. Next target coordinates locked. Wang addressed Vexthor one final time. Your ships will regain power in approximately 6 hours. I suggest you use that time to consider what happens when you underestimate those you consider primitive. Phoenix out. The massive vessel shifted out of normal space again, leaving behind a disabled Drachnid fleet and a message that would echo across the Empire. The age of suppression was ending, sparked by human ingenuity and determination. As they prepared to liberate the next colony, Commander Foster turned to Wang. They'll respond with everything they have. The main fleet won't take this lightly. No, Wang agreed. They won't. But they'll be fighting an enemy they never prepared for, using assumptions that no longer apply. And they're about to learn that humanity isn't the only species ready to break free. The Phoenix vanished into quantum space, carrying with it the seeds of revolution that would reshape the galaxy. The Drachnids had sought to contain humanity's growth. Instead, they had created the very force that would dismantle their control, one quantum jump at a time. The Phoenix emerged from quantum displacement into a scene Captain Wang had never expected to witness. Around them, ships of various designs and origins, vessels belonging to species the Drachnids had suppressed for centuries, gathered in the shadow of Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. 17 different species represented, Commander Foster reported, scanning the assembled fleet. Each of them broke free using the quantum technology specifications we released. They're calling it the Liberation Armada. Dr. Patil studied the sensor readings with growing excitement. Captain, several of these vessels show modifications to our original designs. The Arcturians have developed a more efficient quantum core. The Centaurians have enhanced the phase lance targeting systems. Wang nodded, understanding the implications. By sharing their technology, humanity hadn't just given other species the tools for freedom. They'd sparked an explosion of innovation as different civilizations built upon and improved the original designs. Incoming transmission from the Arcturian flagship, Rodriguez announced. Admiral Cavol requests permission to come aboard. She says she wants to thank the species that showed them the stars weren't chains. The Phoenix's conference room was soon filled with representatives from species that had lived under Drachnid control for generations. Admiral Cavol, her crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns, stood at the head of the table beside Wang. The Drachnids told us we were too primitive to understand advanced physics. Kevol's translated voice carried notes of both amusement and anger. Yet within days of receiving your quantum displacement plans, our scientists had not only grasped the principles but improved upon them. A Centaurian representative, Commander Zix, raised his four-fingered hand. Our people were restricted to basic fusion technology. Now we bypass Drachnid shields as if they were made of air, all because humanity showed us what was possible. The Empire's control was based on technological suppression, Dr. Patil explained, standing to address the gathered allies. By sharing our advances freely, we've broken their monopoly on innovation. But they won't accept this quietly. As if to emphasize her point, urgent signals began flooding the Phoenix's communication systems. Rodriguez's voice came through the conference room speakers. "Captain, multiple Drachnid battle fleets are mobilizing. They're converging on liberated systems with orders to restore order through any means necessary." The assembled representatives exchanged looks of determination. Admiral Cavol's crystalline form pulsed with fierce light. They expect to find scattered, disorganized resistance. Instead, they'll face a united front of species they thought they'd broken. Wang studied the tactical displays showing Drachnid fleet movements. "We need to coordinate our defense. Each of our species has developed different applications of quantum technology. Together, we can present strategies the Empire has never encountered." "The Talarians have developed quantum communication arrays that can't be intercepted," Six offered. "The Proxians have created energy shields that exist partially out of phase with normal space. And humanity's Phoenix showed us all that the impossible was merely unexplored," Caval added. "Captain Wang, the Liberation Armada places itself under your tactical command. You broke the chains first. Help us shatter them completely." Over the next hours, representatives from each species shared their technological innovations. The Phoenix's conference room became a center of unprecedented cooperation, as civilizations the Drachnids had kept apart for centuries finally worked together. Dr. Patil moved from group to group, her eyes shining with scientific excitement as she helped integrate different technological approaches. Their greatest mistake, she told Wang during a brief break, was assuming that suppressed species couldn't innovate. Every race here had been thinking, planning, dreaming. They just needed a catalyst. Commander Foster coordinated with the fleet commanders, developing battle strategies that leveraged each species' strengths. The Arcturians' enhanced quantum cores would allow for synchronized fleet-wide displacement. The Centaurians' targeting systems could guide precise strikes through planetary defense shields. "Battle formations are set," Foster reported. "The Liberation Armada is ready to move on your command, Captain." Wang looked around the conference room, meeting the eyes, or equivalent sensory organs, of each representative. The Drachnids built their empire on the assumption that different species couldn't work together effectively. That primitive races needed to be controlled and contained. Today, we proved them wrong on every count. Admiral Cavol's crystalline form resonated with agreement. They thought they were preventing chaos by suppressing advancement. Instead, they created the very unity that will bring their empire down. Multiple Drachnid fleets approaching the Proxima Centauri system. Rodriguez's voice cut through the room. "They're beginning their attempt to reassert control. Then it's time to show them what free species can do together," Wang declared. "All ships prepare for quantum displacement. The Liberation Armada moves as one." The assembled fleet vanished from Jupiter's orbit, leaving behind the last traces of their separate histories of subjugation. Ahead lay the first true test of their unified strength, and the chance to reshape the galaxy into something the Drachnids had never imagined possible. As the Phoenix led the Armada through quantum space, Wang reflected that humanity's greatest contribution hadn't been the technology itself, but the willingness to share it freely. In breaking their own chains, they had sparked a revolution of innovation and cooperation that would change everything. The Drachnid Imperial fleet darkened the skies above Earth, thousands of warships stretching from horizon to horizon. Supreme Commander Vexthar stood on his flagship's bridge, his scaled features twisted in what passed for a smile among his kind. "Let them see our might," he commanded. "Let them understand the price of defiance." But in the quantum observation chamber of the Phoenix, Captain Wang saw something different in the massive fleet display: desperation. The Drachnids had committed nearly 80% of their total military force to this single attack. "They're afraid," Commander Foster observed, studying the enemy formations. "They've lost control of 17 systems in just 2 weeks. Their entire power structure is crumbling." Incoming transmission from the Drachnid flagship, Rodriguez reported. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." Vexthar's image filled the screens across Earth and every ship in the Liberation Armada. "Attention, primitive species. Your rebellion ends here. Surrender your quantum technology, submit to proper oversight, and we may show mercy. Refuse, and Earth burns first. Dr. Patel's hands flew across her console, analyzing the Drachnid fleet's energy signatures. Captain, they've modified their shields. They're trying to adapt to our phase lance technology. But they still don't understand the fundamental principles. Admiral Cavill's voice came through the quantum comm. The Arcturians' crystalline ship hung in formation with the Phoenix, along with vessels from every other liberated species. They're defending against what they think our weapons do, not what they actually do. Wong nodded, because they still can't accept that primitive species could develop something they don't understand. Status of Operation Paradigm. All Liberation Armada vessels report ready, Foster confirmed. Quantum displacement coordinates synchronized. The Tellarian communication arrays are masking our preparations. The Drachnid fleet began moving into attack formation, their weapons charging. Vexthar's voice boomed again. You have one planetary rotation to submit. After that, we will demonstrate why the Empire has ruled for 10,000 years. Wong opened a channel to all Liberation Armada ships. This is the moment we've prepared for. The Drachnids believe they're here to crush a rebellion. Instead, they're about to witness the future they tried to prevent. All ships, execute Operation Paradigm on my mark. Across Earth's orbit, quantum cores hummed to life. Each species had contributed their innovations to this plan. Arcturian power systems, Centaurian targeting, Proxian phage, shields, Tellarian communications, and dozens of other advancements born from newly freed minds. They're launching their first wave, Foster reported. 500 ships on attack vectors. Now they see our true strength, Wong said. Execute Operation Paradigm. The Liberation Armada vanished from normal space as one. The Drachnid attack wave passed through empty void, their targeting systems finding nothing to lock onto. Where are they? Vexthar demanded, watching his sensors show nothing. Find them. The answer came as the Liberation Armada reappeared, not in one place, but everywhere. Each ship had quantum shifted to a precisely calculated position within the Drachnid fleet formation. Phase lances fired from point-blank range, enhanced by Centaurian targeting systems, bypassing the Empire's adapted shields completely. Impossible. Vexthar roared as ships began exploding around his flagship. Their coordination, their precision. Primitive species cannot achieve this level of cooperation. The Phoenix materialized directly in front of the Drachnid flagship. Wong's voice carried across all frequencies. That's always been your fundamental error, Commander. You mistake technological restriction for actual primitiveness. You never understood that suppression doesn't stop advancement. It just forces innovation to take unexpected paths. The battle unfolded unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The Liberation Armada moved as one organism, ships quantum jumping in patterns the Drachnids couldn't predict, striking from impossible angles. Each species contributed their unique insights and innovations, creating a symphony of technological warfare that the Empire had never prepared for. Drachnid ships fell by the hundreds, their weapons firing at empty space as their targets shifted in and out of normal reality. The Empire's mighty fleet, terror of the galaxy for millennia, found itself fighting an enemy that refused to behave according to their assumptions. Their formation is breaking, Foster announced. Multiple ships attempting to retreat. Dr. Patel looked up from her readings. Captain, the Drachnids are trying to activate some kind of temporal weapon. They're attempting to undo our quantum advancements. But before the Empire could deploy their desperate measure, a combined strike from the Liberation Armada caught Vexthar's flagship in a web of phased lance fire. The massive vessel's shields collapsed, its weapons went dark, and its engines died. Open a channel, Wong ordered. Commander Vexthar, your fleet is in ruins. Your temporal weapon has been neutralized. The Empire's age of suppression is over. On his crippled bridge, Vexthar stared at the sensor readings in disbelief. Over 60% of his fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships were in chaos, their formations shattered by enemies they couldn't effectively fight. "This is not possible," he whispered. "We are supreme. We decide who advances. We control the galaxy's development." "Not anymore," Wang replied. "Humanity didn't just develop new technology. We proved that suppressed species could surpass their suppressors. Your empire's foundation was built on a lie, and now everyone knows it." As Earth's population washed from below, the Liberation Armada surrounded what remained of the Drachnid fleet. The Empire's greatest show of force had become a demonstration of their obsolescence. The age of suppression was ending. The future belonged to those who had been held down for too long. And now, finally, they would shape it together. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, the Phoenix docked at Harmony Station, a massive structure orbiting the neutral space between formerly suppressed worlds. The station itself was a testament to cooperation, its quantum-stabilized rings incorporating architectural elements from all 18 liberated species. Captain Wang walked through its crystalline corridors beside Admiral Koval, watching representatives from across the galaxy gather for the first concordat of free species. The station's Grand Assembly chamber could have fit the entire Phoenix within its bounds. Hard to believe, Koval's crystalline form pulsed with remembered emotion, that just 1 year ago, we all lived in separate cages, believing we were alone in our dreams of freedom. The chamber filled with delegates. Dr. Petal stood at a podium made of shifting light, presenting the latest achievements of cross-species collaboration. The quantum technology that had started with the Phoenix had evolved beyond his creator's imagination. The Drachnid Empire didn't just fall, she explained to the assembled representatives. It transformed. Those within it who had enforced suppression found themselves facing a choice: adapt to equality or become irrelevant. Commander Foster, now captain of her own vessel, joined Wang and Koval. The latest reports from former Imperial space show 90% of their worlds have joined the Concordat. Even some Drachnids themselves are contributing to joint research projects. The great doors opened one final time, admitting a tall, scaled figure that caused a momentary hush. Former Supreme Commander Vexthar, now serving as the representative of reformed Drachnid systems, walked to his designated place. His once proud bearing had been replaced by something more contemplative. "The galaxy spins on," he acknowledged as he passed Wang. "Perhaps it took our fall to teach us how to rise properly." The session began with presentations from each species. The Arcturians had developed quantum engineering that could restructure matter at its fundamental level. Centaurian scientists had unlocked the secrets of consciousness transfer. The Proxians had created sustainable micro-universes for power generation. "This," Dr. Petal told Wang during a brief recess, "is what happens when you remove the chains from intelligent minds." The Drachnids thought they were preventing chaos. Instead, they were stopping a renaissance. The afternoon session focused on the future. The Phoenix's original quantum drive design had spawned hundreds of variations, each adding new understanding to the nature of spacetime. Ships could now traverse the galaxy in ways that made traditional space lanes obsolete. "We've mapped 70 new quantum corridors," a Tellurian scientist reported. "Each one represents a path the Empire never imagined possible." The galaxy isn't just opening up, it's reshaping itself to our combined understanding. But the day's most significant moment came when Admiral Koval presented the Concordat's founding principle. "Knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. No species shall be denied the right to advance, to innovate, to reach beyond their current understanding." Wang watched the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. Humanity's gift hadn't just been the technology. It had been the proof that suppression could be overcome, that cooperation could achieve more than control ever had. The Phoenix's crew gathered that evening in one of Harmony Station's observation lounges. Through the quantum-enhanced windows, they could see ships of all designs moving through space, each incorporating elements of shared innovation. "Did you ever imagine this?" Commander Foster asked, watching an Arcturian vessel quantum shift in a way that left traces of crystalline light in its wake. "When we first launched from Titan, did anyone think we'd end up here?" "We hoped," Dr. Paddle replied, her fingers tracing equations in the air using Centaurian holographic technology. "But this has exceeded every dream. The combined scientific knowledge of 18 species, all building on each other's discoveries. We've advanced more in 1 year than the Empire allowed in 1,000. Rodriguez, monitoring communications from across the galaxy, smiled. "The quantum network is filled with new innovations every day. Ideas flow freely between worlds that never knew each other existed before. It's like the galaxy finally woke up. Because we all remembered something important," Wang said, watching Earth rise behind the station's outer ring. "Progress isn't just about technology. It's about the freedom to imagine, to try, to fail, and to succeed." The Drachnids thought they were containing chaos. Instead, they were bottling up the very force that makes civilization advance, the combined creativity of thinking beings. Admiral Koval joined them, her crystalline form refracting the light of distant stars. "And now we face a new challenge. Growing together, learning from each other, building something greater than any one species could achieve alone." Looking out at the busy space lanes, watching ships of every design moving in harmony, Wang felt a profound sense of rightness. The Phoenix had been humanity's key to freedom, but what they'd unlocked was far greater than liberation. They'd unleashed the combined potential of 18 species, each with their own perspective, their own innovations, their own dreams of what might be possible. The Drachnids thought advancement had to be controlled, he mused. They never understood that true progress comes from freedom, the freedom to question, to explore, to reach beyond what seems possible. As if to emphasize his words, a new ship emerged from quantum displacement near the station, a vessel that combined elements of all their species' designs. It was the first of its kind, built by a mixed crew, incorporating the best of their shared knowledge. The galaxy was changing, growing, becoming something new. And as Wang watched the representatives of once suppressed species working together, sharing ideas, building connections, he knew they'd achieved something far greater than victory. They'd created a future where advancement wasn't a privilege to be controlled, but a right to be shared, where innovation came not from careful restriction, but from the joyful collision of different perspectives and possibilities. The dawn of freedom had brought with it the light of unlimited potential, and together they would see just how far that light could reach.